it is. I've been trying my best to hold my chuckle when you called it a harvest of allowances. But some people say that it was same because you've been asking how it is that it jumped from 30-40 billion in the time of President Obasanjo to what we have now. Quite a number of people also say that, you know, then in the time of President Obasanjo, a lot of things were given to the senators and, sorry, the lawmakers, and that those things are not being given out, they've been monetized. So, for instance, the legislative quarters, you know, now we leave our lawmakers to go and get their own places by themselves. The cars, you know, were given to them. Now we have left them to go and get all those kinds of things by themselves. My colleague here just talked about newspapers. Don't you want the print mill to run? I mean, those people need their businesses to keep going on. But speaking a little more seriously, though, some people believe that this question is more about getting value for money. That what the plan was to get them in such a way that they were comfortable enough to perform their oversight functions in a way that saved us so much money. Because some people believe that if the lawmakers had done their job as they ought to, perhaps this fight against corruption that everybody is mouthing now would not be as stern as it is.
What you do in checking corruption, I suppose you're trying to move into the area of paying people well so that they will not be corrupt.
Exactly.
Or paying people well so that they will not put their hands on the public till. Yes, in Nigeria it works in the reverse. You pay people more, they steal more. Actually, evidence has shown beyond reasonable doubt, because, I mean, different works have proved that. Because you have paid the police more money now than you paid the police about 4 or 10 years ago. Has it led to lack of corruption in the police? What you actually have...
It should not be the case. I mean, there's something definitely very wrong there.
What makes corruption to reduce is effective system. We have a system that will work to punish evil, to punish infractions of the law. When you have a weak system, and thank God we just have a criminal justice system law that has just been promulgated. We are happy for that. But if you have a system that is so weak and the laws were written in 1914 and you are still implementing 1914 law now under the criminal justice system, when so many people are wised up, then you are not going to have... No, it doesn't matter. If you pay them 1 billion, they will still put their hands in the
public. The reason I ask this question is this. I mean, we're still... Because quite a number of people say that yes, it might be an issue, because 250 million per year for any lawmaker, even in any job at all, is an extremely lucrative job, as it were.
Oh, yes.
But then for lawmakers to still get into the National Assembly and still be talking about juicy committees, it in itself raises questions. It will mean that it's not just getting into the National Assembly now, it's also about where you belong or what job you're given to do, because it would seem that that's where the pay actually comes from. Shouldn't we be worried about that?
We're worried about it, and that is why the moral agent we have at the presidency of the Nigerian nation now, President Buhari, is actually a pointer to a better days, to some better days for Nigeria. Actually, what is lacking in this country is that people look at the symbolism, the legalism of issues, which people can easily dance around. But if you look at the moral issue, the moral agency of your action, then you would know for sure that no senator should hand more than a professor. No senator.
We really don't have much time, and I'm hoping that we'll also do this again with you. But let's quickly talk about, let's not skirt around this. I'm also still on the point. They also have what they call recess allowance given to them.
Recess, yes.
Yes, and knowing full well that knowing full well that they have so many, you know, recesses in the National Assembly, and making Nigerians to call for part-time legislative business in our National Assembly. Do you think that if we talk about part-time legislative business the way it is done with the People's Parliament in China, all of this will see a reduction? Because by the time you know that it's a part-time business, the recess allowance, furniture, I mean, a couple of others can also be pruned down, knowing full well that this is just a part-time big business. What would be your advice on the basis of this amount that we have seen, you know, that has been tabulated from the National Assembly? 2
recommendations. First, I agree absolutely with you that the issue, I mean, who becomes the legislator in Nigeria should be on a part-time basis. That's the first. The second is that we should actually cancel the House of Senate. The Senate is superfluous. It's a waste of money, absolutely unnecessary.
So we should ignore bicameral legislation?
Of course, go unicameral. You go unicameral.
Okay.
It will save cost.
We need to wrap up. So if we're talking about cutting, I mean, yes, since we're talking about cutting cost of governance, what should we do? Should we just focus on the National Assembly or the federal government, or leave out the states and the state legislature, or what?
When we talk about cutting the cost of governance in Nigeria, then we look at a more global setting. But if we talk of cutting the cost of governance at the state level or at the level of the federating states, you agree with me that the states we have in Nigeria today are actually unwieldy. 36 states. What is so special? What is so different in Ekiti that cannot be in the same state as Ondo? What's so fundamentally different from Oyo that Osun cannot cohabit together? We should not actually have more than 7 states, so that more money can go. 7 states in Nigeria, because we already have 6 zones, and those zones are operating. Abuja can be recognized as a special area, and that will be just 7.
Always a pleasure to have you, Dr. Tunji Ogunyemi, budget historian and an economist. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, we still have, yes, indeed, we do know yesterday, not just yesterday, Saturday, the weekend, what a sporting weekend it was, and it was huge. Talking about Usain Bolt, the whole sports crew already standing by. You can imagine that they'll have that on the table at the moment. You guys are focusing on that, aren't you, Austin?
Of course, Chamberlain, Mark Players. Good morning, guys. It's always an action-packed world of sports. I'm sure you guys knew Usain Bolt wasn't just going to come to Beijing, China, and then forget that he announced himself there 7 years ago. He did the magic, but I'm not so happy this morning, guys. You know why? There's no Cecilia. Austin, they've taken away our softness, and they gave me Yemi Adebayo and Ayotunde Balogun. So, Mark, well, you see why I need you here next week? You see why?
Maybe sure.
If you need her here, you have to cut your cost of governance. Thank you very much, Austin. I guess 9 o'clock we'll see you. So we'll also be watching. Yeah, they say they need you soon.
Austin, keep dreaming.
All right, let's take a look at what are the comments this time. Let's see what the people are saying, having watched the show today. Sergi, talking about fight against corruption, says, the fight against corruption is feasible if trials are conducted with a reasonable period of time.
Within a reasonable period of time.
Okay.
Your eyes. Well, Miro says you need to demystify the concept of corruption. Let's call every crime by its name.
Miro or Miro?
Ogandi, while justice be served if government appoints, will justice be served if government appoints
its preferred judge for an issue?
Appoints its preferred judge for an issue it has publicly pronounced the accuser guilty. That's a big question there from Ogandi.
And then Emmy says, corruption is endemic and deep down in the hearts of public servants and is dating back many years after the Civil War.
It's a big battle.
Emmy sure has a lot of information after the Civil War, as far back as then. Well, that's a wrap today. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, as a matter of fact. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Maokwe Ogun.
Many thanks. I'm Sulaiman. I'll see you again.